When we think of villains in movies, our minds usually go to a familiar image: the bad guy, the dark figure standing in opposition to the hero, the one whose sole purpose seems to be making life miserable for the protagonist while he tries to save the day. They're not there for us to admire. They're not there for us to emulate. We expect them to threaten innocent people, taunt the hero, deliver a dramatic monologue, and ultimately get what's coming to them. Their job is to create conflict, throw rocks at our hero, and give us somebody to cheer against. In most movies, that is pretty much the standard formula. But every so often, something unusual happens. Through a combination of excellent writing and phenomenal acting, a villain comes along that we don't just remember. We actually enjoy. We find ourselves walking out of the theater wondering, why did I like that guy so much? Then something even stranger happens. As the movie ages, the antagonist becomes more and more iconic. We quote their lines, we laugh at their remarks, we look forward to introducing them to friends who have never seen the movie before. And every now and then, we find a little bit of their personality showing up in our own. Not the evil parts, mind you, just the character traits that drew us to them in the first place. Most villains sort of fade into the background as the years pass. Others become legends. Whether people realize it or not, a little bit of cinema's most influential personalities continue to live on in everyone who truly loves movies. That's exactly why this channel exists. This is where we dissect, analyze, and present a completely non-scientific, albeit somewhat serious, behavioral analysis of some of the greatest character-driven moments in cinematic history. You're watching Real Behavior. In 1988, a rather obscure action movie starring a relatively unknown Bruce Willis and a virtually unknown Alan Rickman became an overnight success, forever establishing Willis as an action star and placing Rickman firmly into the hearts and minds of American moviegoers. At the time, Willis was primarily known as a television actor, while Rickman, despite having several television credits on the BBC, was primarily recognized in Britain as a stage actor. Given those circumstances, it was not unreasonable for studio executives to believe that Die Hard was anything but a guaranteed blockbuster. Yet somehow, this unlikely combination of talent produced not only one of the most iconic action films ever made, but also one of the most memorable villains in cinematic history. But as always, we are getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. Before we get too far into what made Hans Gruber so unforgettable, why don't we dust off the old slide projector and spend a few minutes getting to know the man behind the character, Alan Rickman.
You might find this interesting.
Born Alan Sidney Patrick Rickman, Alan began his acting career later in life after becoming a successful graphic designer. Although he was involved in school drama productions at a young age, he never really considered a career in acting. Rickman would later explain that pursuing acting wasn't considered a sensible thing to do at 18. But at the age of 26, he changed course. After being accepted into the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art, Rickman attended the prestigious acting school from 1972 to 1974. His early career mostly consisted of stage work through a variety of theater groups, including the Royal Shakespeare Company. He made his television debut in 1981, which eventually led him to his breakout role on BBC's The Barchester Chronicles a year later.
Wow! That's amazing!
His role as the villainous Vicomte de Valmont in the RC production of Christopher Hampton's adaptation of Dangerous Liaisons eventually led him to Broadway when the production made its way across the pond. It was there, in 1987, that Die Hard producer Joel Silver and director John McTiernan attended one of the performances. They both immediately realized that they had found the perfect actor to play Hans Gruber. Rickman did not exactly jump at the opportunity. In fact, he nearly passed on the role altogether, reluctant to have his feature film debut come in the form of an American action movie. Fortunately for movie audiences, he reconsidered. What followed was not only one of the most memorable portrayals of a villain in cinematic history, but also a challenge that would follow Rickman for much of his career. His portrayal of Hans Gruber was so intelligent, sophisticated, and charismatic that audiences immediately embraced him. The performance was so effective that Rickman would spend years resisting efforts to typecast him as the refined and cultured villain. So, what exactly is it that makes Hans Gruber so likable? I believe the answer lies in 4 characteristics that Alan Rickman brought to the role: charisma, competence, sophistication, and wit. Taken individually, they are impressive. Combined, they created one of cinema's most memorable antagonists. The first of these characteristics is charisma.
What is that?
It's a special quality of leadership that captures the popular imagination and inspires allegiance and devotion.
Charisma is one of those qualities that is difficult to define. Well, maybe not for Pauly Shore, but fortunately, it's much easier to recognize when you see it. Some people simply possess the ability to command your attention without ever raising their voice. Alan Rickman was kind of one of those people.
Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. Due to the Nakatomi Corporation's legacy of greed around the globe, they are about to be taught a lesson in the real use of power. You will be witnesses. Now,
I believe it's fair to say that one of the reasons Hans Gruber is so likable is due to Rickman's depth as an actor. He commands every scene he is in.
nice suit. John Phillips, London. I have two myself.
Whether he was socially engaging with Takagi about his suit or ridiculing McClane, his cadence, his timing, and the way he allowed each line to breathe made even the most ordinary dialogue sound important. Hans Gruber almost never has to demand your attention. He simply assumes he already has it. He doesn't shout. He doesn't pound his fist on the table. He doesn't have to. The room naturally gravitates toward him because Alan Rickman demonstrates that true charisma doesn't come from volume. It comes from confidence, composure, and complete command of one's presence.
This is very kind of you.
If you think I'm maybe reading a little too much into it, I'm apparently not alone. The BBC once described Rickman's voice as sonorous, which basically means rich, resonant, and authoritative. I think I can improve upon that description. His voice kind of rolls through the scene like velvet wrapped around a straight razor. But charisma alone isn't enough to create a memorable villain. The audience also has to believe that if anyone can pull off an impossible plan, it's this guy. Before Hans ever speaks a single word, it is already evident who is in charge. Everyone around him is carrying rifles, explosives, radios, or equipment. Hans carries none of it. He isn't rushing to catch up with others, nor does he bark orders as they move into position. Everyone already knows what they're supposed to do because the planning has already been done. Competence rarely announces itself. It simply gets to work.
You're very perceptive.
Now, some of you are probably thinking I'm reading a little too much into this. One of the hallmarks of genuinely competent people is that they rarely feel the need to advertise their competence.
Not me. I'm in my prime.
They simply behave as though success is all part of the expected outcome. Hans Gruber carries that quiet confidence from the moment he enters Nakatomi Plaza.
You're amazing. You figured this all out already. All of you relax. This is a matter of inconvenient timing, that's all. Police action was inevitable. As it happens, necessary, so...
That's a subtle but important line. Hans never intended to avoid the police. Their involvement was always part of the operation. The only reason they arrived ahead of schedule was because John McClane unexpectedly disrupted the timeline. Hans doesn't react with panic because, from his perspective, the plan itself hasn't failed. He's simply adjusting to circumstances that arrived a little sooner than he expected.
And those guys in the suits, I don't know who they are.
That's the FBI. They're ordering the others to cut the building's power. Regular as clockwork.
Or a time lock.
Precisely. The circuits that cannot be cut are cut automatically in response to a terrorist incident. You ask for miracles, dear. I give you the FBI.
The arrival of the FBI only reinforces that point. Hans isn't watching his plan fall short. He's watching another piece move into position exactly as he expected, like a chess player anticipating his opponent's next move.
When they touch down, we'll blow the roof. They'll spend a month sifting through the rubble, and by the time they figure out what went wrong, we'll be sitting on a beach, earning 20%.
Competence is an important piece of creating a likable villain. It bridges the gap between the audience and the character by establishing a sense of respect toward the antagonist.
When Alexander saw the breadth of his domain, he wept, for there were no more worlds to conquer. Benefits of a classical education.
Many people probably wouldn't think sophistication would be part of an equation of a likable villain, but it is. A character who is crass, uncultured, and unrefined is simply harder to like. One who's emotionally centered, articulate, and socially well-mannered is far more appealing to an audience. Hans Gruber isn't merely educated, he's cultured.
He's a real gentleman. I bet he takes the dishes out of the sink before he pees in it.
Throughout the film, Alan Rickman portrays a man for whom refinement isn't something he turns on when it's convenient.
How do you do? It's a pleasure to meet you.
It's simply part of who he is. Before Hans ever makes a demand, he makes conversation. He could have used that elevator ride to intimidate Joseph Takagi. Instead, he breaks the silence with a genuine compliment. For just a moment, the tension disappears. It almost seems as if Hans never uses his sophistication as a disguise, but more like it is just part of who he is.
Mr. Takagi, I could talk about industrialization and men's fashions all day, but I'm afraid work must intrude, and my associate here has some questions for you.
Good manners aren't just a sign of refinement. They're a social tool. They lower defenses, put people at ease, and make people more willing to engage with you. The audience experiences that same effect. Hans becomes surprisingly easy to spend time with, despite the fact that we never lose sight of who he is or what he is doing.
I have a request.
What idiot put you in charge?
You did. When you murdered my boss. Now everybody's looking to me.
This scene specifically shows that Hans can appreciate others' abilities and strengths. It is not a display of weakness, but an exhibition of respect where respect is due. Sophistication is another important ingredient in the equation of a likable villain. It reminds us that refinement and ruthlessness aren't mutually exclusive. Alan Rickman made them coexist, and the result was one of cinema's most unforgettable antagonists.
Mr. Takagi chose his people well, Mrs.
Gennaro. Miss Gennaro.
Money. What kind of terrorist are you?
Who said we were terrorists?
The fourth and final characteristic is wit. Hans Gruber's wit wasn't measured by how often he told jokes. It was found in the quiet confidence with which he approached conversation. Even when delivering information, Rickman seemed to enjoy the language itself. Every now and then, an otherwise ordinary exchange, beneath the polished criminal exterior, Hans Gruber still has a sense of humor.
In Northern Ireland, the 7 members of the New Provo Front. In Sri Lanka, the 9 members of the Asian Dawn.
What the fuck?
I read about them in Time magazine. When these revolutionary brothers and sisters are free.
With that little aside to Carl, it becomes clear that Hans's demands are nothing but a careful constructed ruse. Rickman punctuates the deception with one small, almost playful moment that reminds us Hans Gruber isn't just executing a plan. He's playing a game and enjoying every minute of it.
Theo, are we on schedule?
One more to go, then it's up to you. And you better be right, because it looks like this last one's gonna take a miracle.
It's Christmas, Theo. It's the time of miracles, so be of good cheer and call me when you hit the last lock.
Hans's wit surfaces again here, but the brilliance isn't in the writing, it's in the performance. Another actor might have delivered it as a routine line, and truthfully, so could have Rickman, but he doesn't. He gives it an almost musical cadence that transforms a line meant to deliver simple reassurance into something truly memorable.
Am I right?
You're amazing. You figured this all out already.
Well, yeah, I kind of did. But I would be remiss if I didn't include my personal favorite example.
Oh, yes. What was it you said to me before? Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Rickman's greatest gift wasn't simply delivering memorable dialogue. It was making seemingly insignificant lines memorable. Another actor might have hurried through these moments, but Rickman lingered just long enough for them to become part of Hans Gruber's personality. Perhaps that's why Hans Gruber remains so endlessly quotable. The screenplay gave Alan Rickman the words. Rickman gave them a rhythm, a personality, and a voice that audiences have remembered for decades.
You people, if there isn't a movie about it, it's not worth knowing, is it?
You know what made it sound brilliant? Is everything that Alan Rickman said. Like, as you brought up that speech, I remember writing that speech, and on the paper, that shit just lay there kind of hokey and corny. But you give it to a man with an instrument like Alan, right? With the voice that he had, and the gravitas, and the seriousness with which he treated his performances, suddenly it's melodic.
Kevin Smith's observation gives us a clue. If Rickman could transform seemingly ordinary dialogue into something memorable, perhaps it wasn't the words we were responding to at all. Perhaps we were responding to the actor behind them. But don't take my word for it.
The thing is that acting, the more I do it, the more mysterious the whole thing becomes, because the more you do it, the more you realize that it's about listening and not doing, and it's about handing yourself over and being as open as possible to other influences rather than imposing yourself on something. And so
Rickman doesn't simply deliver dialogue. He listens, he adapts, he responds. Whether he's speaking with Takagi, Holly, Theo, Carl, or McLean, every exchange has its own rhythm because no two conversations are the same. His portrayal of Hans Gruber never comes across like an actor simply moving on to his next line. It seems more like a man naturally reacting to the person he's speaking with and the situation they're in. It just feels real. Alan Rickman accomplished something very few actors do with this type of character. He gave Hans Gruber a depth and a presence that elevated him far beyond the role of a typical action movie villain. A villain we never stop rooting against, yet one we will never stop looking forward to seeing again and again. If you enjoy this exploration of Alan Rickman's unforgettable portrayal of Hans Gruber, and you would like to see more deep dives into memorable heroes, villains, anti-heroes, and the behaviors that make them so compelling, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll know when we release new episodes. And if there's a character, performance, scene, or movie you'd like to see us explore, or maybe there's a behavior you think deserves the real behavior treatment, let us know in the comments below. So my fellow movie buffs, y'all keep keeping it real, and I'll see you on the next one.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.